Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The Sensex and the Nifty end with marginal gains as bulls digest the gains over the last couple of days. The Nifty Midcap Index gains for the 20th straight session. It's a blockbuster debut for Tata Technologies. The stock lists at a 140% premium, making it the most profitable debut on the Indian bourses since November of 2021. TataTech also garners a market cap of 53,000 crores, becomes the 9th most valued Tata Group firm. The IPO frenzy sustains its run on Dalal Street. Gandhar oil refinery lists at a 76% premium to its issue price. Fedbank financial perks up after getting off to a tepid start. The stock listed at a 1% discount. The Indian government calls it a matter of concern after US prosecutors charge an Indian national and a government employee over an assassination plot in New York. This comes weeks after reports that US authorities foiled an attempt to murder a Sikh separatist on American soil. Israel and Hamas extend the Gaza ceasefire by a day. Israeli military maintains that North Gaza remains a war zone. Hamas releases more hostages in return for Palestinian prisoners, including prominent activist Ahmed Tamimi. US Secretary of State Blinken says the current ceasefire is producing results. All 119 assembly seats in Telangana go to the polls in a three-way battle among Bharat Rashtra Samiti, BJP and the Congress. Results for all the 5 states that went to the polls this election season will be declared on Super Sunday. Tune into CNBC-TV18 for our exit poll coverage at 7:30 p.m. this evening. Elon Musk issues a defiant profanity-laced message to advertisers boycotting his social media platform X. Claims advertisers are trying to blackmail him. Large companies, including Apple and Disney, stopped advertising on X after Musk promoted tweets which the White House described as anti-Semitic. UN Secretary-General calls for phasing out of fossil fuels within a reasonable time frame on the first day of the COP28 climate summit in Dubai. Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to speak tomorrow. Heavy rains lash out in parts of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Schools and colleges remain shut in Chennai and neighbouring districts. A low-pressure area in the Bay of Bengal is expected to intensify into a cyclonic storm in the next 3 days. Well, first up, the day's trading action. A late recovery on Dalal Street saw the markets end largely in the green. The Nifty and the Sensex closing higher. However, the Nifty did manage to end above the 20,100 mark. That's the story there. The Nifty 50, 20,133. The Sensex up by about 86 points. The Nifty Bank closing in the red, down by 80-odd points. And the Nifty Midcap up 290 points. The Nifty Midcap continues to be on a tear. That index has hit another record high and ended higher for the 20th straight session. Prashant is here with the market action. Prashant, sum up the mood for us.
It was an okay-ish kind of session, neither directionally very positive or at no point it looked like it was going to be a very weak session as well. The low was made early on around 10 o'clock when the Nifty hit just above the 20,000 level. But from the day's low, there was a strong 100-plus point recovery, which actually left us where, as you can see on your screen. The Nifty Bank a little more tepid, down on the day, but nothing much. I mean, about 0.2% or lower. By the way, the Nifty Bank did cross that important technical 61.8% retracement of the full fall today. The high was made intraday above that, but then we end around that level. Mid and small caps, no problems at all. The mid-cap index 0.75% higher. For the small cap index, after that initial low around 10 a.m., it was a trending day up, about 1.33% for the small cap index. I'll start with gains on the Nifty. GAIL stood out with strong kind of gains. You had some cuts coming through from names like Ultratech, Eicher Motors and HDFC Life. So that's large caps for you. Now, PSUs, and actually the Nifty PSC index, that's the Public Sector Enterprises Index, was up 1.5%, even as the Nifty was flat. So lots of names there. GAIL I already mentioned, but look at NBCC. There was Hutco, GIC RE did well. New India Assurance, another one, which continues to buzz around. India Cement, Supreme Industries, Poonawalla FinCorp, a few other names. You had moves in Prestige Estates, GE Shipping, a strong mover, Intellect Design, AG's Logistics for the last 1 week or so has been rallying, and Sonata Software came back and started to participate as well. You had more names I could go on, but this is the bulk of the big volume-led list today. On the downside, Adani Total Gas, which had done quite a bit recently, pulled back a little bit. Solar Industries was down about 4-5%. Indian Bank, Aether Industries, there's been an incident at one of their plants. PNB Housing was another one which was down and out. Not very much from global markets over the last couple of days. The markets here has been moving on its own kind of momentum. Today in the evening, the exit poll results for the 5 states which went to polls come through, and that'll be the big talking point, the big cue tomorrow morning. Back to you.
Yes, we are going to be tracking that, not just tomorrow morning, Prashant. We're going to be tracking it tonight when the exit polls come in. My colleague Parikshit is going to be taking us through what the exit polls estimate. Now, it was a stellar debut for Tata Technologies. The stock opened at 1,200 rupees on the bourses, listing at a 140% premium to its issue price of 500 rupees. The stock subsequently jumped threefold from its IPO price to 1,400 rupees with a market cap of over 53,000 crores. Tata Tech is now the 9th most valued Tata Group firm. Its bumper listing boosted the group's market cap to a new high of over 26 lakh crore rupees. Rima is standing by now with the details. Rima, stellar debut for the stock. Don't think the street was expecting this kind of a bump up.
This has been one blockbuster opening for Tata Technology. The stock listed at a price of 1,200 rupees per share versus an issue price of 500 rupees, giving it a listing day premium of 140%, making it the best listing since November of 2021 when Latent View had listed with a premium of 169%. One of the drivers for the demand rush were the undemanding valuations. So now, how do the valuations stock up after the stock has more than doubled? Now, at the listing price of 1,200 rupees per share, the stock is being offered at 50 to 55 times forward premium, FI 25 PE. It's still at a discount to KPIT Technology, which is at 65 times, but it's now become more expensive than an L&T Technology or Tata Elxsi. It's two other peers. But when we compare the valuations, we need to take into account growth. Now, KPIT Tech has been growing faster than Tata Technology, and even this year, KPIT Tech has guided for a 37% top-line growth, which is, again, possibly going to be faster than what Tata Tech is going to grow. These are the growth rates. In the first half of the year, KPIT Tech has grown at 51%. Tata Tech has been at close to 28%. Last year, the growth rate of KPIT Tech was 27%, again beating that of Tata Technology, though the margin profile of these two companies have been pretty similar. Now let's move on to the pros and cons, right? Now, the biggest pro for Tata Technology, one was the valuations at the time of the issue price. But the second one has been the Tata brand. And thirdly, the steady valuations. The company has been growing at about 25-30 times over the last 2 years. Also, the margins for the company have been improving. The margins for the company were about 16.2% 3 or 4 years ago, and now they've improved to about 18 to 19%. And finally, this was a pure offer for sale. The company didn't raise any money which went into the company, and that's because they have cash. The company told us the net cash in the company's books is close to about $150 million. But some concerns which have been raised by the analysts to round this off is that there's too much dependence on Tata Motors and JLR, its two anchor clients. And one more name, VinFast. It's a Vietnamese EV player, one of the top clients for Tata Technology and a big driver for their growth. That stock has seen a near 80% fall in its share price this year. So given its dependence on its top 5 clients, any slowdown in the financials of their top clients could be a bit of a concern.
Yeah, if you look at the market growth projections for aerospace specifically, if you look at commercial aircraft, there's about 23,000 aircraft that are in productive use today. In 20 years' time, that's expected to get to about 46,000. So the demand in aerospace is likely to grow exponentially from the low base during the pandemic. So we fully expect aerospace to be a very important part of our mix. And I think if we look 3-4 years down the road, we would expect aerospace, transport, construction and heavy machinery to be about 20% of our mix. We continue to expect strong demand in automotive, but we do see the verticals outside of automotive in percentage terms growing at a much faster rate.
So Aerospace, transport, construction and heavy machinery revenue contribution can go up to 20% in the next 3 years from currently below 10%, but of course on a low base. Got that. The last time we spoke, we chatted about margin improvement and how the company's positioned for incremental improvement in margin, and your North Star margins are 20% plus. Can you tell us what will be those, what will drive margin improvement? What are the levers that you're working with?
Well, it's the standard operating levers for an organisation like ourselves. So it's improvements in productivity, it's improvements in span of control and our people pyramid. But the biggest contributor will be offshore. Or offshoring of services. You know, today our offshoring is about 50-50. Given the type of business that we're involved with, particularly our ability to be able to take on turnkey product development, we think we can get the 50-50 to about 65-70. We don't ever think that it's going to get to the 80-20 or the 90-10, again because of the importance of managing the stakeholders onshore. But we think that as we progress from 50-50 to 65-35 or 70-30, we think that will drive incremental improvement in margins. You know, so we're looking at 30-40 basis point improvement on a year-on-year basis.
Well, that is Tata Tech, and from one bumper listing to another, Gandhar oil refinery listed at a 75% premium to its issue price. The stock opened at 298 rupees on the National Stock Exchange against its IPO price of 169 rupees per share. The company's 3-day IPO was subscribed 65 times.
Volume growth will be in the range of 10-12% once the capacity is on stream, and if you the incremental capacities that are going up would lead to an additional revenue of around 1,000 crores. So the contracts are renewed on annual basis. It's a volume fixed contract, and the pricing are floating as per the index. So the renewal of the contracts will come. The negotiations are already in place, are already ongoing. For the coming year.
And shares of Fedbank Financial Services closed flat following a weak debut on the Lal Street. The stock listed at a 2% discount, but it did manage to rebound in intraday trade, closing marginally above its IPO price of 140 rupees. The big story that we are tracking, the government has said that United States charges linking a government employee to an assassination plot against a Sikh separatist leader are concerning. Parikshit Luthra is standing by now to take us through more on this fresh diplomatic row. Parikshit, thanks very much for joining us. Now, what we have seen is court documents that have come in from the US overnight, which basically detail an attempted assassination, linking the assassination to a gentleman who they claim, as per those documents, is linked to the Indian government.
Well, it's a very comprehensive, detailed 15-page indictment that has been opened in a US court. It clearly mentions that a 52-year-old called Nikhil Gupta or Nick Gupta was actually hired by an Indian government employee. It goes on to say that this Indian government employee orchestrated or directed the attack from Indian soil against a Khalistani separatist on US soil. So Nikhil Gupta was hired by this Indian government employee. There was a quid pro quo to this, according to the indictment documents in court, and that was that in case he's able to carry out this assassination successfully, the criminal case against him in the state of Gujarat would be taken care of. This was the assurance given to Nikhil Gupta. Following that, he reached out to criminal associates, according to the court documents, and these criminal associates actually turned out to be US officials, sources and officials working with the US Drug Enforcement Agency. There was a very detailed vigilance and surveillance operation that was carried out, and finally there were pictures also taken of money exchanging hands between the parties, and those pictures are there in the indictment documents. Finally, on the 30th of June, Nikhil Gupta, who was traveling to the Czech Republic, was arrested. We don't know where he is currently, but there is an extradition treaty between Czech Republic and the United States of America. The US attorney has called this very, very serious and said that the US government will hold all people accountable to this. The White House has sought action from the Indian government. India has reacted not just to what the US indictment has said, but also what the Canadians have said today in terms of the fact that these documents have now come up in a US court. This only underscores the point that the Indian government must act. So the Canadian government is also putting more pressure on India. India has expressed concern at the US indictment, not commenting on it directly, but also going on to say that we've instituted our own inquiry. We'll get to the bottom of this, but this is not our policy. We do not carry out such conspiracies on foreign soil.
The news coming out of the United States further underscores what we've been talking about from the very beginning, which is that India needs to take this seriously. The Indian government needs to work with us to ensure that we're getting to the bottom of this. This is not something that anyone can take lightly. Our responsibility is to keep Canadians safe.
As regards the case against an individual that has been filed in a US court, allegedly linking him to an Indian official, this is a matter of concern. We have said, and let me reiterate, that this is also contrary to government policy. The nexus between organized crime, trafficking, gun running, and extremists at an international level is a serious issue for law enforcement agencies and organizations to consider. And it is precisely for that reason that a high-level inquiry committee has been constituted, and we will obviously be guided by its results.
Well, that is the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson saying that a high-level inquiry committee has been set up to look into the allegations being made by the US. On to the latest in the Israel-Hamas war. Israel's ceasefire in its war with Hamas will continue for another day. The current extension is for 24 hours. In fact, the decision came just a few minutes before the ceasefire was set to end. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that since a number of women and children were released, the pause would continue. Hamas freed 16 hostages in exchange for 30 Palestinian prisoners last night. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said the current ceasefire was producing results and that the U.S. hopes to see this continue. Up next, Elon Musk issues a defiant, profanity-laced message to advertisers boycotting his social media platform X. More on that when we return. Polling for all 119 assembly seats in Telangana taking place today. It's a three-way battle between the Bharat Rashtra Samiti, the BJP and the Congress. CNN News 18 Swastika Das joins us now. Swastika, K. Chandrasekhar Rao seeking a third term as Chief Minister. What are going to be the key challenges for the BRS?
Bharat Rashtra Samiti, led by Chandrasekhar Rao, is facing a difficult challenge this time around with the Congress, with its aggressive campaigning, trying very hard to make inroads into the state of Telangana. KCR, remember, is eyeing a hat-trick this time around in a bid to make a record of being the second South Indian Chief Minister to come to power for a third time, after MGR, of course. But this time around, KCR, remember, is fighting from two different constituencies, Gajwel and Kamareddy. In Kamareddy specifically, he is going to take Revanth Reddy, Telangana Congress President, head-on in what is being dubbed as a prestige battle. For KCR, anti-incumbency is going to be the biggest factor against him. While he is relying on his welfare schemes to come to power, on the ground there is a severe wave of anti-incumbency as it is perceptible against his MLAs.
Swastika, many thanks for joining us, and tune in to CNBC-TV18 for our exit poll coverage starting 7:30 p.m. this evening. Now, delegates and leaders from across the world arrive in Dubai for the COP28, the annual conference on climate change. The UN Secretary General has called for phasing out of fossil fuels within a reasonable time frame. UAE, the host of the COP28, has been under scrutiny after reports emerged that the summit's Emirati president used his role at the negotiations to pursue fossil fuel deals. Moreover, a cloud of mistrust also hovers around developed nations' commitment on climate finance. Now, Elon Musk has slammed advertisers that have left social media platform X in a profanity-laced outburst, warning that the advertising boycott will kill the company. Speaking at an event in New York, Musk also accused advertisers of trying to blackmail him, even hitting out a Disney chief Bob Iger. This comes after large companies including Apple and Disney stopped advertising on X after Musk promoted tweets which the White House described as anti-Semitic.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
But
go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
We just felt that the association with that position and Elon Musk and X was not necessarily a positive one for us, and we decided we would pull our advertising.
And
we are now allowing entities at the company to use X as a platform to communicate. ABC News is a good example of that. ESPN, another. We use it.
But do you anticipate this is forever?
I haven't readdressed it since the decision was made.
Well, that is Bob Iger reacting to Elon Musk's comments. Now, India is witnessing a boom in demand for everything luxury, and this extends to luxury homes as well. As per reports, homes priced over 40 crores have seen a 247% spike in sales this year. Shivani Bajaj gets us more on the growing appetite for luxury homes.
Well, absolutely. Luxury and ultra-luxury homes are seeing a huge spike in India in 2023. Homes priced at more than 40 crore each have had an unprecedented bull run, witnessing a staggering 247% yearly surge against 2022. This is according to a recent report by Anarock India. According to another report by Knight Frank India, in the July-September quarter, for the first time in India, sales of high-end homes priced above rupees 1 crore have surpassed demand in the affordable segment, priced below rupees 50 lakh. Now, clearly, luxury builders are eyeing this market. Like Thai luxury builder MQDC has announced expansion in the Delhi NCR market, and recently, Oberoi Group has also announced expansion in the Delhi NCR market. Numbers from India's top metros are eye-popping. Now, according to the Anarock report, of at least 58 ultra-luxury properties sold across top 7 cities in 2023 so far, Mumbai alone has sold 53 units, of which at least 3 were priced above rupees 200 crores, and 7 deals will close between 100 to 200 crores each. Now, Delhi NCR is not far behind in this race. The report also suggests that at least 4 separate ultra-luxury home deals were closed in Delhi NCR, of which at least 2 were sold for more than 100 crore each. So all in all, India's luxury real estate market is clearly enjoying its spot under the sun.
All right, Shivani, many thanks for joining us. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. Lots more coming up.